Well, hi, everybody, and welcome to Conversations with Career Coaches. My guest this month is Paul Cecala. Welcome, Paul.
Hello, glad to be here.
Paul Cecala is a certified global career development facilitator. He is an author. He wrote a book last year, Work Search Buddies, founder of Cecala Career Consultants. And you'll notice in Paul's window there, his logo. If you'd like to learn more about that logo and why there's an airplane on it, reach out to Paul and he'll tell you the backstory. Since 1999, Paul has assisted over 3,000 job seekers, ranging from executives in the C-suite to college students. I've known Paul for a few years now, and one of the things that I've really been very impressed about when it comes to Paul is how practical he is. I think he's one of the most practical people I know in this arena of career coaching. And by practical, I mean things like that book, The Work Search Buddies, how he approaches career transitions from a project planning standpoint. And then today's topic, I think is just brilliant. And today's topic, again, something Paul is developing, is a annual career checkup. And when Paul and I first looked at this topic, or he started looking at this topic, he said, you know, Terry, everyone should take stock of their career at least once a year, just like going to the doctor for your annual physical, your annual checkup. You know, it's the way to catch problem areas before they get serious or get out of hand. And I thought, what a great concept. So Paul, take it away with these questions, at least for starters. For you, what is the concept of the annual career checkup? Why should someone do it? And when should someone do it?
So I'll start with the last question first. And the when is really whenever you want. I like to try and do it as a part of my annual, New Year's resolutions. And I hate resolutions, right? But if you think about every year, you stop and you say, I'm going to do this year. Well, what I like to do is say, let me take a look at where I'm at in my life and where do I want to go? What do I see as my future? And am I going in the direction that I want? Right. So I like to do it at the beginning of the year. You could do it anytime, tax time, your birthday, the beginning of a new season. You decide when is the right time. Many people find that they're starting new careers in September or January, new jobs, right? So maybe you think about doing it a month or two before that, if that's when you typically end up changing jobs, so that you're ready for when that occurs. Mm-hmm. The key to me of the idea is I want to be aware enough of what's going on in my career, in my current job, at my current employer, so that I can be in control of when a change takes place, rather than someone else being in control of when that change takes place. And so the easiest way to do that is just to stop once a year and take a look back. Am I going in the direction that I want to go? Is this the thing we like? Go ahead.
I was going to say, and from what you just said, Paul, it sounds like another good time that someone might do an annual career checkup is when they start a career transition. Let's say their employer has to reduce their workforce, and an individual is one of those who's affected. And now all of a sudden, they went from being a job holder to a job seeker.
Right. And that is an excellent time. I mean, if you've not done it any other time, you need to do it then. One of the other things that I've learned is that within the staffing industry, research has shown that a typical career will last 10 years. And in today's economy, a typical job only lasts 18 to 30 months.
Interesting.
Which means every 2 years, we're making a change in a job. So I want to be prepared for that. I want to know what's going to happen when, as best as I'm able, and I want to be in control of when and how that takes place, rather than finding out, oh, by the way, the company is going down the tubes and we're getting sold and your job has been eliminated.
Mhm. So it's something that's not only good for job seekers, but it's good for folks who are working so that they have again, going to your airplane analogy that we were talking about before we started this session, they can kind of be in charge of where they're going in their flight, so to speak.
Exactly. I mean, aviators always are using flight plans, which is the guide for how you're going to get from where you are today to where you want to go tomorrow, right? Now, we should be doing the same thing with our careers. The other way I look at it, and I love the analogy of an annual medical checkup or
Yeah.
physical.
Uh-huh.
You know, how many times have we gone to the doctor for a standard, normal, everyday, once a year checkup and found something that was a little off that's caused us to make other changes in our life?
Mhm.
And thank God we did, because we may not be here if we hadn't. Well, it's the same idea with an annual career checkup. It's just an opportunity to stop and take a look and make sure you're going in the right path.
So Paul, can we take a somewhat deeper dive into
Sure.
the checkup itself? Let's say, I was visiting with you because I was interested in an annual career checkup. What would you take me through?
So first, I would want to know a little bit about, you know, what your career goals are, what your life goals are, um, and how your current role fits into those goals.
Mhm.
And then think a little bit or talk a little bit about where have you been? How did you
Mhm.
get to where you are now? And is this the path that projects going to the direction you want in the future? If not, then we need to look at how do we make a career adjustment or a change in the path a little bit.
Mhm.
I'll also want to take a look at the company and the organizations, excuse me, make sure that um, the company is doing well.
Mhm.
Have you as an employee looked carefully at the finances at all? Have you looked at the most recent press releases and the information in the industry? Where does your employer stand against other employers in that same industry at the same size? Are there any warning signs that would indicate a change is in the offing? And am I aware of that change? Those
That's
are
a
some of the
really,
things.
yeah, no, that strikes me as really important because I think, an individual will often take a look at themselves, but do they take a look at their situational context, as you're suggesting?
Exactly.
Take a look at the company, take a look at the industry, take a look at trends, what's going on, and then bring that information then back to the individual and then figure out, okay, what changes, if any, do I need to make?
And
Uh, yeah.
our role as career coaches is simply to ask the questions and get you to do the looking and the thinking and maybe clarify what you're seeing. Why do so many executives have coaches? Why are
Mhm.
employers hiring coaches for their executives? Because they
Mhm.
want someone with an independent third eye just to give a different perspective or
Mhm.
different question to the same view. And
Yeah.
that's what we're going to do in your annual checkup.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's one of the things that's happening right now that I'm sure everybody here on this Zoom today would agree that coaching as a field is booming. It is just booming, whether it's career coaching, executive coaching, life coaching, is just a booming field because of what you just said. And one thing I would add, and I want to invite Kathy and Tony into the conversation too. One thing I would add is that listening to you, Paul, you are also providing that client with a
Yes.
framework within which they can think about their career, where it is now, where they want it to go, and how they can get there. And just speaking personally, I'm a big proponent of frameworks. I love
Yes.
frameworks because quite often that's one of the most helpful things is to put some boundaries around it for the person.
Well, look, I used to say everybody needs to stop and take a look at their career at least once every 5 years. And if you're not doing it on an annual basis or on some other regular interval, I would absolutely say at least once every 5 years, you need to stop and take this look. Because the truth is, we change, we
Yep.
grow. The
Yep.
world has changed. Who would have imagined 3, 4, 5 years ago that we would all be doing business by Zoom today? Right.
Mhm.
So we need to stop and take that look and say, am I going in the right direction? I know I sound like a broken record, but that's the truth.
No, but it's so true. Kathy, it sounds like you'd like to jump in here. Do you
Yeah,
have a comment or a question?
Yeah, one of the things that comes to mind, because it's happened to me so often and I'm kind of used to it at this point, one of the major checkups that you need to do is when you get a new leader.
Yeah.
Because your direct leader is going to completely change your job. I mean, how they
Absolutely.
lead and what they do and what kind of team they build and that kind of stuff. And I don't think people think of that. I've had to go through that and kind of informally do that more than once. But that's an opportunity to create a relationship at that point that you don't ever get again. So
You're right.
strategy is really important.
That's
So,
a
great point.
yeah, that's another great when to do a checkup. When something significant changes in your environment, new leader, maybe your company gets acquired and now you're part of a new company. I can imagine that creates a whole other list of whens. Tony, how's this all sound to you? You and I last month talked about a related topic of having a job search strategy. Any comment or question to add?
No. Not only do I agree with it, but we tend to meet clients who are usually coming out of a corporate or company environment. But
Mhm.
I honestly think this applies as much to those of us who have our own business in the entrepreneurial environment. You mentioned the last couple of years, especially with the changes due to COVID. My business model changed a couple of different times, and some of it I got fortunate. Let's put it this way. It went from heavy outplacement in the beginning to just about no outplacement now, but now the focus is on, because they talk about the great resignation, people doing this evaluation of what it is I want to do next. So what Paul is saying here today applies just as much to entrepreneurs as it does to people that are in corporate.
Absolutely. And we all, no matter what we're doing, even in retirement, really need to stop and take a look at where we're at and where we're going. And are we living the life that we want? Are we getting the return from our lifestyle and from our work that we want? Recently read some statistics that said the Gen Zoomers, Gen Z are now Gen Zoomers. The Gen Zoomers and the Millennials, Gen Y, are very much interested in employers that are good corporate citizens. Right? And when we think about corporate citizens, we're talking not just are they doing things the right way and for the right purpose in the world, but also are they impacted by diversity, equity, and inclusion? Are they sustainable in their practices? Are they managing climate change? Are they looking at all of the things that sustain our ability to stay on this earth? And are they doing it in a good way? Are they looking at work-life balance for their employees? And if you're not, then I don't want to work for you as a Zoomer. Right? So we all need to be looking at, is this the right direction? Are we going in the right way? The thing that's right and best for our business and for our growth.
I have another, it's an unusual kind of thing, but we're in unusual times. So one of the things I like to do when I get a chance is to work with people who are thinking about retiring and reloading and refiring in another direction. In other words, they don't want to stop. They just want to do something different that's more conducive to their lifestyle. What they want is freedom, et cetera, et cetera. So everybody's looking for a career from beginning to like reload and refire at this point. And I think we have a bigger market than we've ever had from a career development point of view.
Kathy, I'm making a note of that for our conversation in a couple of months, because I think that might be a great follow-up topic. The
Sure.
reload and refire. I love that. That's terrific. And
So-
and Paul, I think, people that are on the threshold of retirement, whether it's imminent or it's a couple of years away, they should definitely be doing what you're advocating here, is sitting down for the career checkup. Absolutely.
Well, and again, research has shown psychologically that if you don't have a plan for your retirement, you will likely die within 3 years of your last day of employment.
My
And
goodness.
so we need to have some understanding of what are we going to do to fill our dime, to fill our day, to be productive, to be active, to be in the world once we retire. So when you're looking at a career checkup, as you were asking before, what should I bring or do with my checkup, right? And I would want to see people have not only that the look back of the last year or so of what their career or their company is at, but also what information can you bring that looks at the next 1 to 3 years, maybe the strategic plan for the company over the next 3 years, maybe your own strategic plan or thoughts and ideas for your goals and your future. Tony and I, we both used to work with an organization called the 5 O'Clock Club.
Yep.
And one of the things that they proposed always was look at your 15-year or 40-year, what did they call it? The 40-year plan, right? Or
They called it the vision, Paul.
that's right, the 40-year vision
40-year
and the
vision,
15-year vision. And the idea there was just to say, okay, if I look out 5-10 years beyond retirement, and I put myself in those shoes, now I want to say, what do I want to be known for? What do I want people to think of me? Where do I want my life to be when I'm 75, 80 years old, right? And have I done what's necessary to get to that point today, right? So we'll look at where are you at that 5-10 years past retirement. Then we'll look at, well, in order to be there, what do I have to do at retirement? Well, if I need that, what do I have to do 5 years before retirement, and 5 years before that, and 5 years before that? And you kind of keep going back and get to the point where you say, well, what do I have to do today in order to get to where I want to be at 75 or 80 years old? And again, over the course of your life, if you asked me that question when I was in college, compared to today, you would get completely different answers.
Yes, I'm sure.
And
the other thing about that method and everything is, frankly, a lot of times when we get people, they would say, gee, I'm just looking to get a job now. And they don't think ahead. They don't think ahead. Gee, their children who are X and Y years old now are going to be a lot older. They may not need them as much and things like that. Or, gee, they don't really want to be living where they're living or things along those. That's the other thing the vision always did too. It brought in the external factors that got you to think.
Well, and the other thing you're saying, Tony, that's really great is, we, if all we're looking for is the job now, then my comment to you is go work at the food store, go to the mall, because there's a job. Well, no, I don't want to do that, is what most clients say to me. And I said, well, then you're not just looking for a job. You're looking for something that's going to give you specific goals, specific outcomes, specific needs that will allow you to live the lifestyle you want. Is this job getting you there? And if the answer is no, then let's look at what job will, and how do we get you into that space?
But I add a mini dimension to this, because I did this, so I guess I can blame myself if it's not as successful or whatever, but I worked 5 days a week, and I worked some really long days sometimes because I had a responsibility for physician leadership development, succession programs, basically. So I used to kind of negotiate a little bit in my job, and eventually we had a problem where somebody was going to get let go in our team. So this is one of those big things you should be watching for when you're doing your checkup.
Yeah.
I didn't want to see a young man lose his job because I had free time and I'm sort of close to retirement at the time. Well, I'm close to retirement now, but I was close to retirement, and I bargained to work 4 days a week to save his job. But while I did the 4 days a week, I had Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off. I started a side hustle because if I could do it for that company, I could do it for myself. And so for about 2 years, I did a side hustle, and then I fired myself eventually and got
Yeah.
on my own. So sometimes you can strategically like entrepreneur too. I have 7 entrepreneurs in my family. I kind of do a family tree thing when I do career development. If you got a pattern in your family, you might be good at something that everybody else is doing too.
Very
So,
interesting.
but I don't think we think entrepreneurship because quite frankly, if we're not staying in jobs a long time, you could do your own.
Mhm.
I mean, that's how I
And
ended
you know,
up.
we could talk forever about that whole idea too.
Yeah.
You know, Kathy, the concept of finding multiple income streams and
Yes.
where and how do you build the wealth and the income that you want for the lifestyle you want today.
Yeah.
But I think another important question related to doing the annual checkup
Mhm.
is, do you really need a career coach
Ah,
to do it?
mhm.
Right?
Or can you
Now,
just do it on your own?
right. And as self-serving as this is going to sound, my response is, I think, yes, you do.
Yeah,
Now,
me too.
I say that for a couple of reasons. Number one, you can't see the forest through the trees,
Mhm.
right? When you're immersed in your life, it's hard for you to step out of yourself and take that independent, unbiased, unemotional look at what's going on.
Mhm.
By the same token, your spouse, significant other, even close friends, because of their emotional attachment, can't be unbiased in their view. So I believe strongly that you do need someone, preferably someone who's trained in mentorship, in advising and coaching, to be that person to do it for you. You might have a therapist, you know, a psychological therapist. They could potentially do it. Whether or not that's the right direction is a different question, but at least they're an unbiased outsider that's taking a look at you and your life and helping you see it through a different lens.
Yeah.
And that's what the career coach is going to do. They're
Yeah.
to show you what you repeat back to you, right? For the most part, I'm going to just repeat back what you said, but in a different way,
Mhm.
and maybe ask a question that gets you to think, gee, is that really what I want to do?
Mhm.
Do I really want to go that way? Well, maybe I want to go this way. And or the coach is going to be the person, because of their experience and background with so many other people and so many other careers, suggest what you're telling me sounds like this. Have you ever
Mhm.
considered going in that direction for your career? So we can give you ideas and options and opportunities that you otherwise would not be able to find on your own.
Well, what I found this year, and it's unusual, this year, I should say the COVID years, is that, and I'm pretty sure you'll agree with, I think all 3 of you will agree with
Oh,
me.
yeah.
A lot of people do not know their positive blind spots.
Oh,
They
Yes.
are a little bit aware of their negative ones, but they won't own their positive ones. And you need a coach to help you do that.
Yes. I agree
great
completely.
points. Great points. Well, Paul, this has been fascinating. I'm really hoping that a lot of people pick up on this idea of an annual career checkup. It seems to be applicable in a whole host of different situations people will encounter over the course of their careers. So I want to thank you for being my guest this month.
My pleasure.
On
Thank you.
Conversations with Career Coaches. Paul, I want to thank you so much for helping so many who are going to see this video and they're going to get some great inspiration from it.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. And thank you for having me.